Hey, welcome back and thank you for watching. This is the updated tractor comparison spreadsheet video. And unlike the 2021 version, in this video, I'm going to try to convince you that these specs don't matter. So we'll see how well that works. So I'm going to have a spreadsheet. I'll also have a link in the comment section so you can just go download this spreadsheet and you won't have to email me for a copy if in fact you do want to stick with the specs, or at least use that as a point of comparison. So we're going to run through that. I'm also going to run through what I'm calling sort of like fake news or incorrect information. And one of the reasons, or ambiguous maybe, and that's one of the reasons I'm kind of saying the specs, you need to, maybe not rely on them all that much. And then I'm going to wrap up by telling you what I think really does matter and some things when you're tractor shopping that you may want to look at aside from specs that, when the rubber hits the road and you get that tractor are probably going to mean a whole lot more to you than X number of pounds of capacity here or there with the tractor. So stick around. And then real quick, aside for my return viewers, as you know, my philosophy here on the channel is zero income. So anything I make on the channel, I put back in the channel. So you should be hearing that right now. I've got the wireless mic. So this is the first video where I'm trying that out. And hopefully you're getting pretty good audio quality off of it. All right, here's the updated spreadsheet for 2024. I did retain the old 2021 pricing and actually the entire 2021 tab here if you want to see it. And I still have the sample images for most of these tractors. So real quick run through of this spreadsheet. Again, I'm going to have a link to download it in the description. So you can just go download it and do as you wish. But aside from pricing, I did note that some of the Kubotas are now made in Japan, not the USA, and you'll see that on the label of these Kubotas. I'm not sure about the 2380. That's why I have a question mark. It's just the point being, a lot of people will say made in the USA. Well, not necessarily the case. I did see some changes in base weights on the Kubota side and actually also over on the Deere. I don't know if they were minor changes. I don't know if they were tweaks to incorrect numbers or if something has changed as far as materials. And then I want to note also that the ground clearance, I got conflicting numbers on ground clearance on the BX series, which is notable as you'll see later in the fake news or misinformation section because they make a comparison to the GC on one of the websites. And then in 2021, right after I did my first comparison spreadsheet, BX did come out with some new options on their BX series, and I've got those noted here. The other thing I've added is some uncertainty, jumping over here to the Massey Ferguson and PTO horsepower, because Massey Ferguson is not good in publishing the numbers for some of these things. But I did add, as far as PTO speed related to engine speed, I tried to add, for the 540 rear PTO, which is kind of standard, the engine speed RPM required to achieve that 540. On the mid mount, seems to be a little bit different. So the BX spins at 2,500, Massey's 22, and the little bit of variation tractor to tractor there. I also, everyone cares about loader, so you can see I've got the at the pins number and the SSQA or forward 19.5 inches or 500 millimeter number. So we've got those included. I did notice that on the Kioti, I think I might have had a mistake in the past or else things have changed because it looks like the powertrain warranty is 4 years concurrent to the 2-year base, not additional. So that used to say 6, now it says 4. I noted also it's a U3 engine in the 2220, not a U2. I think that's about it. Look at that pin lift capacity though on that Kioti, which is essentially the same as the Bobcat series over here. Updated Deere really was, I think, mostly just updated weights. There were a couple things maybe here that I tweaked. Yeah, just a couple things. And then I added, so I have the RK21. They're now calling it the H. Maybe they were doing that before and I just missed it. But I have the RK24H. And one thing on the pricing too, note I have this delta column. So it's saying, the 21H is 10.5, you add $2,000 and you can get a 24H. And oh, the other thing is this is the tractor only, loader ready. Doesn't include the loader in this number. That's actually important because on the BX 2380, tires are not included in that price when you do their online pricing tool, but they are included in the other two models. So that was a little weird. So jumping back to the RK, what a value though on this tractor. It's got 24H, has auto throttle and standard remotes. It really seems like a really good tractor though. So yeah, all those numbers are there. I've got the grayed out columns for the New Holland and the Bobcat, because this New Holland compare tool is not good anymore. It's not anywhere near what it used to be. So I just took New Holland out of the equation, and also Bobcat, because of their similarities to Kioti. So now let's jump over and talk about some of this fake news or misinformation, or why these specs are just super hard to kind of pin down and I think rely on. All right, so I'm going to start out here with a comment from Neil Messick on the BX owners page. Someone said, hey, why don't you do a comparison of a BX to GC? And he says, very unusual to see one in our area. So I said, let's check that out. Look at all these agri-tier dealers, Massey dealers around the Messick's area. This pin here is actually also an agri-tier dealer. So Neil's clearly telling the truth here. I mean, reliable source for sure. But you got to scratch your head and say, why is that? And I think the reason is because most people buy these subcompact tractors, they don't get rid of them. These are good tractors. And if they do get rid of them, they just sell them on marketplace and try to make a little more money versus trading them in. But they don't frequently trade them in on new models. You get one, and the value of these subcompact tractors, regardless of brand, is huge. So I guess they're just not seeing that many trades. Okay, next up here is some misinformation. This is a Kubota dealer out of Louisiana. They say the GC 1700 series has a fixed ROP. False. The ROPS is fixed on the non-backhoe models of the 1723 and 1725, but it's folding on the 1723 and 1725. So they talk about the ground clearance. Well, as I mentioned earlier in the spreadsheet, there's some discrepancy on the BX literature about what their ground clearance really is, but it's not the touted nearly more than 2 inches. It's maybe 1.7, and that's depending on which BX model you pick. Then just a minor discrepancy here in the GC 1700, 24 horsepower. No, it's 24.5. And then the next one here, similar PTO horsepower, sort of misleading, right? Depends on which BX series you're going with. The 1880, 2380, or 2680, and you can see in the higher models, you start getting actually where the GC, even the base GC model, is better than the mid-tier BX model. Hydraulic flow higher on the GC? Yes, true. It is higher on the GC. Higher lift capacity? False. The BX loader is $699 at the pin. The GC loader is $922 at the pin. And this is verified via multiple sources of people who've owned both, compared both. You can see on the BX page, people trying to shim their tractor. I've done my own lift comparison. Now, I know you can shim the BX up and make it lift more, but there's a fundamental difference in that the BX has a curved boom loader that sticks out further. It's never going to lift as much as a GC that has the bucket and the pins much closer to the tractor. All right, so now I'm going to focus on what really does matter other than just specs. And I've got 9 things that I came up with. It could have been 99 things, but I tried to narrow it down to things I think are pretty important when you're tractor shopping. And yes, it is April, and yes, that is the wood stove going. It's pretty chilly outside. So let's start here. Dealer support and maintenance, they're huge factors. If you don't get a warm and fuzzy from your dealer, I'd run the other way. And I don't care what manufacturer you're talking about. And on the maintenance side, you need to give serious consideration to parts, cost, availability, distance from dealer, all of that stuff. Are you going to do that maintenance on your own, or are you going to truck that tractor to your dealer for its regular maintenance? And number one thing about maintenance, do not skip the maintenance. Do not skip reading your manual. I've said that numerous times on the channel as well. Number 2 here is regrets. The big factor, I think, when you look at a subcompact is most people don't regret purchasing it. So yeah, you want to stress about the decision and the money and all that, but they hold really good value across the board, regardless of brand. And well, mostly regardless of brand, I think. So, keep in mind, the regret's probably not going to be there after you purchase that tractor. So shake that thought from your mind when you're shopping, or shake it as quickly as possible. Lift capacity. Everyone cares about loader lift capacity for obvious reasons. But keep in mind, there's going to be variation tractor to tractor, not just brand to brand. So you might get some BX tractors that ship with a little bit lower on the little lower end of the PSI pressure spectrum. And so you get lower lift capacity. What people do in those cases is they shim. On the GC, you just kind of turn it up. So you can do that. That's a whole different topic, but you can crank these pressures up just a little bit to get a little bit more lift capacity out of your loader. Number 4, consider maybe not getting that mid-mount mower. Maybe you get a zero turn. So I'll give you an example. My neighbor Steve, he has a BX, he had a mid-mount mower. He mostly mows his lawn now with a smaller zero turn mower. He's got hills and slopes and things he has to deal with as well. The zero turn is just more maneuverable and quicker than trying to go around your yard with the big tractor. Number 5, remember, these are small tractors. They're going to be a little weak in reverse. They're going to be a little weak in high gear. So if you're trying to mow in high gear on a hill, you might have a problem. Mid-mount mower, that is. Or really even brush hogging too. So don't expect these things to be perfect running in high gear. Generally speaking, if you're doing work, you're loading the tractor, you want to be in low gear. Number 6, you're going to have a little play in various things on your tractor. Cylinder play, little movement in the loaders, loader arms, that's going to happen. These things are not industrial, grade, commercial machines. So if you're carrying around a 900-pound log, you're going to get a little wobble. And that's normal. You're going to see loader moving. You're going to feel that instability, which you better be ballasting your tractor too. So keep that in mind. Number 7, RPM. Some of these tractor engines are designed to run at a much higher RPM. Example is Kubota's well into the 3,000 range for max horsepower at the PTO. GC, for example, is 3,000 even for the 2,500, but much lower for the 2,300. So that RPM equates, of course, to fuel consumption increase. It's also louder. So keep that in mind as well. Number 8, the old bad design syndrome. Everyone says, oh, this broke, that broke, bad design. I will do a future video showing you comparisons between the BX and the GC. There are a lot of similar designs, not just between those two tractors, but all subcompacts. So anyone who says a bad design has been used on a particular tractor is probably just frustrated and not necessarily considering the cost versus design decision balance that needs to be made to keep the cost of these products, entry-level tractor products, down. And number 9, made in the USA. Is that really important? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'll tell you this. The design of these tractors, many of these subcompacts, they are not in the USA. I think Deere is, according to Tractor Time with Tim, but the rest of them, I really don't think they are. Kubota is Japanese. They've got Kubota USA. Go look at the map. There are tons of Kubota offices in Japan, and these designs are coming out of Japan. Same thing with Massey. AGCO is not making these tractors. Iseki is making them, and they're rebranding them as Massey. Kioti, that's a South Korean manufacturer. Deere, they may be made in the USA, but they have the Yanmar engines in them. So there are foreign components in all of these tractors, some of them more so than others, and there are foreign designs in many or most of these subcompact tractors. So my opinion, don't get too hung up on where it was made. Get more hung up on, functionality and what you need, and answering the question of whether this tractor is a fit for you. And that's it. That's all I've got for this tractor update, tractor comparison spreadsheet update video. So I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. If you have any rebuttals to anything I've said, I want to see that too. because we want to keep this real, and I want to keep this video in the comment section as a guide to be helpful for everyone who's in the market for a new subcompact tractor. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to catching you the next time.